is a medium. The 12th Malaysia Plan, or RMK-12, is a medium-term plan with the objective of a prosperous, inclusive, and sustainable Malaysia. It is the start of a new phase in Malaysia's development journey, the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030, or otherwise known under the acronym WKB 2030. The plan also aims to address current issues and at the same time to restart and rejuvenate Malaysia's socio-economic development for long-term sustainability and prosperity. RMK-12 paves the way forwards for comprehensive policy responses in facing the challenging situation brought about by the COVID-19 pandemic. Policies under this plan are structured to achieve sustainable economic growth with a focus of equitable wealth distribution, the well-being of the rakyat, and environmental sustainability. The 12th plan introduces new transformative approach based on 3 themes, 4 catalytic policy enablers, and 14 game changers. This new approach is important in providing a strong foundation for Malaysia's future and acts as a catalyst to restore economic growth, address socio-economic challenges, balance regional development, and enhance the nation's competitiveness to be a more resilient and sustainable player on the world stage. Ladies and gentlemen, the session that we have today is a platform for officers to exchange ideas and critically analyze the main gist of RMK-12. It also serves as a training ground, especially for officers, to improve their analytical and communication skills. The session will be conducted in various phases involving all officers and Grade 41 in MPIC. The first phase will begin today and will continue in subsequent phases until all officers and Grade 41 complete their presentation. Each officer is given the task to critically review and present 1 chapter from the main document of the 12th Malaysia Plan. In today's session, 6 officers will present 6 chapters individually based on the main document. Ladies and gentlemen, in compliance with the standard operating procedures set out by the NSC, audience, especially the staff of MPIC, are online via Zoom, whilst the presenters and top management are here at the Dewan Crewing Level 9. Before we begin with the first presentation, allow me to introduce the mechanism of the presentation. Each presenter will be given 15 minutes to give his or her presentation, followed by 5 minutes of questions from panels and staffs. A reminder will be given at the end of 15 minutes to inform the presenters that his or her time has passed. During the presentation, please ensure that your microphone is on mute. Should you have any question for presenters, you may turn on your microphone and ask the questions during the Q&A session. Alternatively, you may also type your questions in the chat section in the Zoom. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, I would like to invite Mr. Elvin Fred from BIS to present chapter Introduction, a Prosperous, Inclusive and Sustainable Malaysia. Please welcome.
Yes. Hello, everyone. Yeah. Yes. Good morning. Very good morning to Dato' Ravi Utaya, Secretary General of MPIC, Encik Abdul Hadi Omar, TKSUP of MPIC, Wan Hanim, Under Secretary of Human Resource Management, and to all the MPIC officers who are here today, as well as those that join us online. My name is Alvin. I am from the Palm Oil Division of this. And the topic of my presentation today, basically my presentation will be about the introduction part of the main document of the 12th Malaysian Plan. All right. So before I start, I would like to just briefly go over the content of my presentation. I will start off with the overall themes of the 12th Malaysian Plan, followed by the policy enablers that have been set to support the themes. And then I will give an overview of our economic performance as of the end of the 11th Malaysian Plan period. And next, I will highlight some of the issues and challenges that this Malaysian Plan aims to tackle. And finally, I will elaborate on what are some of the ongoing initiatives that have been taken by our ministry, as well as proposing some initiatives that may be able to help overcome the issues that I will describe. So without further ado, okay. As you all know, the last 10 years have been particularly challenging for our country. Coming out of the global financial crisis in 2009, our economy had to face a lot of obstacles in order to achieve the 2020 vision, which was launched in 1991. To make matters more challenging and complex, last year our nation was tested yet again with an even bigger threat, not only to our economy, but the very well-being of our rakyat, which was the COVID-19 pandemic. Despite so, our country persevered, and even though there are a number of targets that we did not manage to achieve by the end of 2020, but a lot of groundworks have been laid during the previous national plans that would hopefully bring us closer to the vision. So the Shared Prosperity Vision 2030, or in short, WKV 2030, was established specifically to transform Malaysia into a united, prosperous, and dignified nation. Hence, the 12th Malaysian Plan, which covers the first half of the WKV 2030, ranging from 2021 to 2025, is going to be used as a guideline to catapult us into our nation into a prosperous, inclusive, and sustainable Malaysia. And it also served as fundamental reforms in realizing the spirit of Keluarga Malaysia. Okay, so this is the basic of 12th Malaysian Plan. The 12th Plan is basically anchored on three main themes to show the government's commitment in delivering game-changing and radical initiatives to ensure that the objectives are achieved. These themes are supported by 4 policy enablers, which I will go into in the next slide. So theme number 1 is resetting the economy. Through this theme, the government wants to restore growth momentum of key economic sectors. That is, we want to catalyze strategic and high-impact industries to boost economic growth, as well as to transform micro, small, and medium enterprises as the new driver of our economic growth. Theme number 2 is strengthening security, well-being, and inclusivity. Through this theme, the government saw the need to enhance national security and unity, and also the need to revitalize healthcare system, as well as to transform the approach in eradicating hardcore poverty. The last theme, theme number 3, is advancing. Oh, sorry. Okay. So the last thing is theme number 3, which is advancing sustainability. And through this theme, we want to uphold our promises to the Sustainable Development Goals by advancing green growth, as well as enhancing energy sustainability and transforming the water sector. This theme is also where in the document it describes that we want to embrace circular economy and accelerating the adoption of integrated water resource management. Okay, so we know there are three main themes, but apart from the three themes, the 12th Management Plan also laid out 4 policy enablers, and these critical enablers form the foundation and building blocks of Malaysia's development over the next 5 years and beyond. So the first policy enabler that was stated was the developing future talent, whereby we want to improve technical and vocational education and training, or the TVET system, ecosystem, to produce more future-ready talent. The second policy is accelerating technology. This is quite common. We've heard it quite a lot, whereby we want to accelerate technological adoption and innovation, which is by enhancing digital connectivity for a more inclusive development. And the third theme is enhancing connectivity and transport infrastructure, where the government wants to transform logistics ecosystem for greater efficiency. So with a better connectivity, it is hoped that we will, become more efficient and getting closer to our target. The last policy enabler is number 4, which is strengthening public service, whereby the government wants to transform the public service through a whole of government approach. Basically, we want to sort of transform our public service from the ground up through perhaps a better management, more, a higher adoption of technology into our management. So next, okay. So looking back, the Malaysian GDP has grown rapidly at a rate of 5.2% over the period of 1991 to 2020, which was essentially the Vision 2020, despite enduring several economic crises that were caused by external as well as internal factors. When you look at the bottom left chart, you can see that our GDP are quite sustained, even though there are years when it sort of plunged a bit. But this growth rate of 5.2%, however, was still slightly lower than what the Vision 2020 was trying to achieve, which was 7%. And on the other hand, you look at the top right corner, the gross national income per capita has expanded about 6-fold, but we still have not achieved a higher income economy that we wanted to achieve, based on the basically a high income economy based on the definition set by the World Bank is about $12,000, but we've only, at this point in time, we are at about $10,000. So as you can see, there have been several external influences that have impeded our growth over the years, such as oil crisis, commodity crisis, financial crisis, and most recently was or rather the most heavily impacting our economy was the COVID-19. Along with other factors such as political shifts and relatively slow technological adoption. Next. Okay, so this is just a short summary of the previous slide. Basically, Malaysia is currently in the upper middle income range, with GNI per capita recorded at $10,580 US. And our unemployment rate as of the first quarter of the last year was at 3.9%, which was the highest in the previous 5 years. It was quite understandable because last year we were hit by the pandemic, and our poverty line right now is at 2,208. But it is not all negatives. There are also some positive things that we have achieved over the years. For example, in enhancing environmental sustainability, Malaysia has recorded a 29.4% reduction in greenhouse gas emissions intensity to GDP by the end of 2016. Okay, next. All right. So based on the themes, the policy the policy as well as the challenges and opportunities that I've highlighted in the previous slides. I guess let's move forward to what are some of the initiatives that can be done starting from our ministry in order to help the government to achieve the target of the 12 Malaysia Plan and consequently the overarching target of the WKB 2030. So, with regards to the theme on prosperity, the issues that I think worth to be highlighted are the fact that we still have not achieved a high income economy status and that our GDP growth still has room for improvement. So, relating that to our ministry, some of the solutions that I think can be undertaken by our ministry is to, of course, maximize exports of more value-added products. This has been said over and over, but I think it's still worth mentioning. This should also be accompanied by a more aggressive promotional programs to encourage downstream sectors in some of the commodities, such as the palm oil commodity. So apart from that, focus should also be given to increasing the livelihood of our smallholders. Not only smallholders, but also workers in the plantation sectors. In this case, I'm taking an example from the palm oil sector, who are in the category of B40 or below the poverty line. One way to do this, I think, is to perhaps consolidate, to have a consolidated data bank of palm oil workers or any other commodities workers who are in need with and integrate or rather consolidate it with the existing system that we have in other ministries such as IKC or Ibantuan, so that we can implement a more targeted approach and to easily monitor this group of people and the progress of their livelihood. One other way is to introduce even more programs like the integrated cash crops schemes to encourage smallholders or commodity workers to venture into additional source of income from growing other types of veggies or poultry. Okay. Next, with regards to the 12 Malaysian Plan objective on achieving greater inclusivity, the issues often raised is the lack of youth participation in the commodity sector, particularly in the palm oil sector, whether it be the upstream or the downstream sector. Jobs in the palm oil industry, for example, have long been considered as tricky jobs, which is dirty, dangerous, and difficult, and so they often seem unattractive for younger generations. Therefore, one initiative that I think can be done is through mobilizing training and training institutions to conduct training and educational programs, as after all, these commodities are very important to our GDP. And this kind of mobilization can perhaps be funded by ministry or plantation companies to attract more young talents into the sector. Okay. Next one. Okay. Now, last but not least, with regards to the theme on sustainability, there is an urgent need, I think, in my opinion, to have an updated life cycle assessment of oil palm that is acceptable worldwide. Given that the last life cycle assessment of our oil palm, I'm not sure about other commodity, but for oil palm, the last life cycle assessment conducted was conducted by MPOB. Our palm oil board was done in 2010, so I think it is about time that we have a new, an updated version of that. Because ever since the last 10 years, MPIC have actually embarked on many projects to ensure our sustainability, and hence, I think a new and updated assessment is needed in order to identify areas that may still require improvement. Additionally, the result of this assessment can also be used as advocacy measure to be tabled at international platforms and to basically bring our brand to the international level. Okay, so all of these remaining initiatives that I list down there are, in my opinion, also suitable to help achieve our sustainability target. which they are quite long, so I won't really go into detail about them. Next. Okay. So in conclusion, the 12th Malaysian Plan focuses on the strategic priorities that will transform Malaysia, that is to achieve three things, three keywords, which is prosperous, inclusive, and more sustainable Malaysia. And it is and should be used by all as a critical compass for Malaysia during this time of unprecedented COVID-19 pandemic and the global economic uncertainty. Lastly, the 12th Malaysian Plan strives to bring about sustainable economic recovery, as well as provide better social protection to the vulnerable segments of society in these trying times. So I guess that is all for me. Thank you.
Thank you, Alvin Pratt. Now may I invite Yang Bahagia Dato' KSU and KSUP to pose any questions to the presenter.
Thank you, Mr. Alvin.
Yeah, okay.
Congratulations for your good presentation. Just one question for you. You mentioned in your presentation that Malaysia GDP has not achieved Vision 2020 target. Through your analysis, what are the factors that contributed to the failure of Vision 2020 target?
All right, thanks for that question. I think one of the biggest factors of us not, perhaps not to say that we did not achieve the whole of the Vision 2020 target, but some of them we found that it was quite challenging for us to achieve, because as we can see in the beginning part of my slide just now, over the years there have been a number of economic crises that I think that play a large part in impeding our economic growth. Like in 1998, the financial crisis, as well as in 2008, another global financial crisis, and last year was the worst one that we've seen, which was the COVID-19 pandemic. And it did not just affect our country, but it affected all countries over the world. So when we talk about GDP growth, for example, even though, yes, we did not achieve the 7% Vision 2020 target, but through my reading, I found out that actually 5.2% was quite an acceptable figure for a small country like us to achieve, and it was quite an amazing feat. So I would say the biggest factor that affected our targets was the economic crisis that we faced over the years.
And when it is good for you to relate our teams with our community, prosperity, efficiency, and sustainability. Then, you know, what is our agro-community percentage compared to the KDNK?
Our commodity, I think, I know about palm oil. Palm oil is about 3%, contribute about 3.6%, if I'm not mistaken, to our the agriculture KDNK. And our agriculture KDNK from the main commodities, if I'm not mistaken, actually, I'm not really sure. 7, yeah. But I know palm oil is about 3, but it's still the biggest contributor to the agri-commodity KDNK. Yeah.
Yeah, thank you, Alvin. At least you managed to put the whole introduction chapter in a proper perspective. So congratulations. So I'm telling her, probably from here, we want to give you more exposure. So let you present at the agency level.
Okay.
So there are three themes here. The three themes, I think we all should memorize it. Resetting the economy and also strengthening security, well-being, and inclusivity. And thirdly, advancing sustainability. So we take word resetting the economy, strengthening inclusivity and sustainability. And of the three themes, which theme do you think is the, to you, to your opinion, is the most important theme? Yeah. What is the what do you think is the most important theme that we should focus on?
Okay, I would think that all three are equally important, but if there is one thing that I think it is relevant to our ministry, it will be the sustainability theme, because we work with basically the role of our ministry is to implement policies for the agri-commodity sector, and agri-commodities sector right now is very much depending on not only the the world's sort of climate. We need to find ways to make sure that our commodity are sustainable, so that we can not just sustain the our country's income, but also making sure that this commodity will be long lasting. For example, palm oil, as many of you have heard, is the biggest contributor to our GDP, but still there are still some areas that can be improved. Actually, there are a lot of areas that can still be improved. For example, the development of our downstream sector, and how we want to brand our palm oil, our Malaysian palm oil to the global in the international level. So sustainability, if we can have a policy, a comprehensive policy that will basically sustain our agri-commodity, that will be good. So yeah, I think that's the.
Maybe one more question. Not question, view. See, in terms of the policy enablers, it are the 4 policy enablers. And then we keep talking about strengthening the public service. I mean, this has been mentioned in RMK previous plans as well. 11, 10. And imagine we have to put that in a plan document. That shows that our public service delivery in terms of effectiveness and efficiency is still lacking after all these years. So I mean when we keep writing this, this shows that somehow public service delivery has not improved much. Probably marginally, yes. It could have improved, but why do you think that it keeps on appearing in this document?
Because
again, your own personal assessment.
My personal, I guess, opinion. The public service, not just Malaysian public service, but the world's public service, so-called industry, is ever changing, and especially now that we have entered the 4th industrial revolutions, there are a lot of things that suddenly emerge that we need to keep up with the trend. So when other countries have adopted better technologies and innovation and have done better innovations, our country, it is I think it's crucial for us to keep on evolving and improving our public service to be on par with some of the more developed countries' public service. So yeah, that's my answer. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you again to Alvin Fred. Ladies and gentlemen, next I would like to invite Encik Muhammad Aminur Rashid bin Zulkifli from KPPK to present Chapter 2, Restoring Growth Momentum. Please welcome.
Assalamualaikum and very good morning to Dr. PSU, Secretary General of MPSC, Encik Abdul Hadi Omar, Deputy Secretary General of MPSC, and Puan Hanim, SCPPSM, and also everyone who attending physical and also online. For today, I will presenting the chapter 2, which is restoring growth momentum. Okay. Next. For introduction, for the economic growth are driven by these 5 sectors, which is services, manufacturing, agriculture, mining, and construction. So for 2020, services are the main contributor to the GDP, which is 48%, followed by the manufacturing 33%, agriculture and mining 7%, and also the construction 4%. So for agri-commodity, our agri-commodity contributes at 3.49% for upstream sector and 2.85% for downstream sector, which is bring the total for 6.34% for the whole agri-commodity. So in the 12th plan, the efforts will be undertaken to rejuvenate all the economic sectors to ensure the growth momentum. So plus now we are at the post-COVID-19 era, so we have to look at a lot of things to make sure the momentum is restored. Then the plan will be focused on the 5 key, which is accelerating the tech adoption, expanding market exports, strengthening financial intermediation, enhancing role of industry players, as well as improving governance and policy. Next. So for this 12th plan, we're gonna have take a look at the issues and challenges. So the economic sectors continues to face issues and challenges that affect competitiveness and constrain the sectors from achieving their full potential. So these challenges also have been compounded by the COVID-19 that requires the comprehensive strategies and effective implementation to restore the growth. And then for this presentation, I will focus on these 3, which is low productivity, low market access and uncompetitive firms, and ineffective implementation mechanism and governance. Okay. For first challenges, so the challenges that we are facing is we are dependent on low skill labor. So as you can see, the timber industry is dependent on foreign workers, which is 55% of the total manpower. 165,000 is a foreigner, and the participation of women putra is also low. So the exporting of timber and timber product for women putra is around 1% only. So second, the slow progress in adopting automation and mechanization, which is the low and CNI in timber industry, and also the industry is not fully ready to move from OEM to ODM or OBM. So for the suggestion, I would first is increasing the local high skill level, which is we can improve the TVET program evaluation and monitoring. So we have to make sure the outcome is going to make this industry move forward. And then enhancing the incentive and high salaries. So maybe we can revise the minimum salary for this industry to attract our young and also Bumi Putra to join the industry, because we can see that the workload and the salary is not what you say, setimpal. So we have to look at the salaries, and then creating a conducive and competitive work environment. So we have to change or rebrand the image of the industry from the 3D and to a safe and conducive work. And then we also have to adopt technology so we can boost the growth of the industry. So for the boosting the for adopting the technology, so we can look at the tax incentive for the industry for them to purchase or maybe a machine, bantuan machine lah. So and the last one is collaboration in R&D and CNI between the industry players to look how to boost the industry. For example, we can collaborate with the international universities to collaborate with our institution to help the industry to move forward. Next. For the second challenge is lack of capacity and capability to penetrate the markets, because we don't have all the machine skill, high skill level and raw material to cater the demand. So this also goes to financial and experience for the industry players. And then the second one is the international trend and strict requirement from importers, which is USDC Act and also UTR for EU. So the recommendation is we intensifying marketing and promotion of timber and timber products by digital marketing. For example, last week on the Agri Commodity Week, MTC has launched the Timber Reality as a digital platform by using the VR, virtual reality. So we can see the list of the company, the products, and also even the process of the timber product in the factory. Also, we can see in the Timber Reality. So I think this is very good digital marketing that also we can apply to all our commodities product. And then we can value added to the product through the attractive design. So it would be good if we can make our own branding in the global supply chain. So global supply chain. So in order to enhance the compliance of the regulation and also the sustainability demand, so we could revise our procurement policy. For example, we only open the tender for furniture for only the legal and certified product. So this can attract many industry players to certify and make sure their product is legal and sustainable. So indirectly, they also can cater the global market. Next. And then the last one is effective implementation mechanism and government. First, for the challenges, we can see that there is a gap between the federal government and state government. So, for example, in the timber industry, like you all might aware, so we are one country, but we have 3 different regions which has 3 different regulations. So there might be some constraint to get information and to execute some program. Second is the limited data sharing and lack of big data analytics. And then for the recommendation is strengthening the coordination with those agencies, which is in federal and also state government in timber industry, to work together to move this industry forward. And then second one is to create a big data analytics between the agencies to see the trend, to forecast where to tap the market. So with this analytics, we don't have to waste our time and energy to do the business with a market that actually don't have the potential. So next. And then so the 12th plan will give the priority to boost productivity as per market and enhance financial intervention, promote balanced industrial development as well as improve policy governance. So the implementation of the various strategies will restore the growth momentum, especially in the industry. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Encik Muhammad Aminur Rashid bin Zulkifli. And now may I invite Yang Bangladesh THU and THP to pose any questions.
Congratulations, Chief. I think you pick up a good point and highlight key focus in your presentation. Congratulations. And just one question. You mentioned just now that lack of involvement being portrayed in timber industry, inclusive culture. In your opinion, what is the main reason the low involvement being portrayed in this sector?
In my opinion, first I think there is the lack of the financial, mostly is the financial issues, and then the capability to produce or to join in the timber industry. So, and then the second one is, I think, is the 3D works, because like I said, to enhance the incentive and salary. So if you can see that maybe some of them see that if they work in the let's say F&B is pay them more higher than this industry. So I think there is the factor of the participation of the Mitra.
So now you have gone through chapter 2. Huh? How do you see? I mean, personally, could you have written a better chapter, or do you think that this chapter gives you now the chapter gives you a better perspective of the issue about productivity? When we talk about low productivity, keep on mentioning about low productivity. Yeah?
Yes.
So and then we mentioned that we're going to increase more TVET program, more vocational training. That means more high skill focus. Does that mean that we should close down our university and focus on vocational training? What is your view on this?
I think both also should continue. So the TVET also is a good platform because it produces a highly skilled labor. So in terms of TVET, so maybe we should look for the outcome lah. So macam kita tengok, instead of kita banyakkan je, kita tengok the quality of the program itself. So I think the TVET also should continue, and the university also.
But university tend to produce graduates who are unskilled, where it does not benefit the industry. So what is the issue here? Is it because that the graduates that we have been producing are not properly trained? Probably we should do the industrial bridging gap. Industrial bridging, the skills required for graduates, so that we give them the industrial bridging skills, so that it becomes relevant to the industry. So we need knowledge workers. Knowledge. We want to promote knowledge intensive industry kan. That means bila knowledge intensive industry, that means that will help us to produce high value-added products. Kan? But we tend to produce graduates who are only good at theoretical kind of theoretical aspect of things like. So that part of industrial bridging skills to lacking the kan. So the, for example, biotechnology is there lah, theoretical lah. Tapi but then biotechnology industry need people who are skilled in biotechnology. They do not want people just to know theoretical application only. They want that practical application lah. Sebab tu kita tengok, that's why we see our ada issue pasal employee compensation kan. Maksudnya dari segi macam you ada kata, you mentioned this now that the remuneration in terms of remuneration, it does not commensurate with the knowledge and skills stuff. So things like this it also happening in the agri-commodity sector. So though we are dependent on low-skilled workers, but we see that our export is still high. So does that mean that see, as long as our people do not do low-skilled jobs, no, they can do high-skilled jobs. So the dependency on the foreign workers, their low-skilled jobs, so let them do it. So our people should focus on the high-skilled works. So it be a waste if we have oil palm fruits there and unable to harvest. So if we need to, depend on foreign workers, this be it. But our people don't also need to have that motivation to want to be skilled. We have a lot of get mara and everywhere, but then people get mara tangan. All of you know get mara, where you learn skills about wiring, plumbing, welding, and sebagainya. But our people tend to want to just drive a motorcycle to do food panda or grab food. So that shows, their mindset is not right. They rather do that kind of job because it's easy. Everybody wants easy job, fast money. But sometimes until when can we? Bila umur dah 50 bayar jalan, kita nak food panda lagi dah pernah. It's quite risky job also lah, food panda ni kan. So just to let you all know, Malaysia we also introduced the productivity blueprint, and this and then have you heard of this productivity nexus? Productivity nexus initiative. But even that, if you look at this thing, the overall annual growth rate of productivity in the 9 sectors was only negative 0.2. So led by the industry champion, the productivity nexus. Tapi kita lihat, but we see that it's not able to raise the productivity level. So is it because of the skills, or is it because that we have our employers they do not want to invest money into adoption of new technology and machineries, and they rather depend on labor because it's cheaper. Right? So those are the things. So not necessarily. So when you go through the chapter, kita must have a feel. How when you read this chapter, what forms in your mind, and then from there you speak based on how you feel about the chapter and how we could emulate that in our agri-commodity sector. Whatever we do, read, comprehend the whole chapter and form a perception. Then we talk about it. So that will make you speak more naturally, more naturally. So the intention is for you all to see. You must come on your own to read the thing and then cuba hayati lah bab itu dan soal lah. You can give their views and the productivity nexus. Why is, when you look through the document, you can ask. Even though it's private sector led, imagine if it's government sector led, probably the negative will be even bigger. Kan? You need negative 0.2 sebab private sector led. Maksud dia, that means the private sector also don't seem to know how to increase productivity. So I'm just assuming, because when I look through, it forms a perception about the whole chapter. So you must start questioning that way lah. Ini untuk semua lah yang mendengar pun, bila baca tu hayati bab tu, lepas tu what perception does it form inside you, and then what could we have done better or even more. So that way senang nak bercakap, right? Thank you very much. Thank you, Amirul Rashid.
Thank you again, Chair Amirul Rashid bin Zulkifli. All right, really, ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with the third presenter. For this, may I invite Encik Muhammad Adam bin Abu Bakar from UKK to present Chapter 3, Propelling Growth of Strategic and High-Impact Industries, as well as Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Please welcome.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamualaikum and good morning. My name is Muhammad Adam bin Abu Bakar. I'm from Corporate Communication Units. So for this today's presentation, I'm choosing Chapter 3, which is Propelling Growth of Strategic and High Impact Industries, as well as Micro, Small and Medium Enterprises. Next, for the introductions, for Chapter 3, given the increasingly challenging domestic and global economic landscape, it is vital to introduce appropriate strategies to sustain the measures were undertaken to support economic development by strengthening industrial growth, expediting structural reform, as well as accelerating innovation and technology adoption. However, several challenges in terms of lackluster industries development, as well as uncompetitive micro, small and medium enterprise (MSMEs) remain and need to be addressed to realize their full economic potential. In addition, the COVID-19 pandemic has adversely impacted the performance and industries and MSMEs. So the highlight of the Chapter 3 is propelling growth of strategic and highly impact industries, as well as MSMEs. And the two factors that issues that need to be taken is the lacklusters of industries development and also medium SMEs remain and uncompetitive and need to be improved. Next. So for today's presentation, this is the industry that I will focus more in my presentation. First is creative industries, 2 tourism industries, 3 halal industries, and 4 micro, small, and medium enterprises. Because from these 4 industries, from what I see from my reading, this is the industries that are highly impacted from the pandemic of COVID-19. So as we can see, the creative industries grew at an average annual rate of 3.6 from 22.5 billion in 2015 to 26.8 billion in 2020. In tourism industries, In 2019, the gross value added of the tourism industry was 240.2 billion compared with 165.9 billion in 2015. But as we can see, for 2020, we all know what happened to our industries, tourism industry in Malaysia because of the pandemic of COVID-19. And third is halal industries. And third is halal industry. The total contribution of the halal industries to GDP in 2019 was 7.6%, valued of 115.5 billion. And for micro, small, and medium enterprise in 2020, MSMEs contribute 38.2% or 512.8 million to GDP, compared with 37% or 435.1 billion in 2015. Next. So, as an introduction to creative industries, the creative industry, which included multimedia as well as culture, arts, and heritage, is becoming increasingly important globally. The My Digital Content Program has helped local animation companies to market creative products with intellectual properties (IP), such as Upin and Ipin, Agent Ali, and Didi and Friend, in penetrating local and global market. Effort to boost the culture, arts, and heritage segment were undertaken to strengthen the contribution of this segment to support the creative industries. Next. So, for the initiative for creative industries, the problem is that are now happening in creative industry is creative industry development still constrained by unclear definition, poor governance, limitation in terms of financing, incentive and IP, as well as lack of talent and capacity building. And for the solution, from what I'm looking is there are 3 solutions that we can do, such as developing a holistic creative industry ecosystem, upskilling talent to match the industry needed, and strengthening product and development and promotion. As we can see on the graphic, there are Upin and Ipin. As we all know, Upin and Ipin has greatly has much viewer not just in Malaysia but also in our neighborhood, our neighbor country, which is Indonesia. And also, as we can see on the screen capture, is from the Paul Pogba. Paul Pogba is from a France player, which are upload on his Instagram. Omar and Hana, which are local animation creators, and it seems our animation industries are going broad to the world. And as we can see, this is the related news for 2019. As I spoke before, in the creative industry for this year, for 2020, the creative industry grew at an average annual rate of 3.6% from 22.5 billion in 2015. And 2020, our GDP is for industry creative is 26.8 billion. But as we look at the slide, BTS, the group of singers in Korea, they just contribute to 4.65 billion to the GDP in Korea. That's what that mean. That means that industry creative, including multimedia, animations, and also entertainment industries, they have the main contributor to the GDP. They can become highly impacted to GDP in our nations. Next. And number 2 is tourism industry. The COVID pandemic has adversely affected the tourism sectors, and most of the Visit Malaysia 2020 promotional campaign and event were cancelled. It caused a sharp decline in tourist arrival in 2020 to 4.3 million tourists, with total receipt of only RM 12.7 billion, compared with the target of 30 million tourist arrival with revenue of 100 billion. The GVATI in 2020 also dropped 33.9% to 158.9 billion compared with 240.2 billion in 2019. Next. So this is the initiative for tourism industry. Basically, there are a few problems in our tourism industry, which tourism industry is losing its competitiveness as reflected by stagnant tourist arrival between 2016 and 2019. This is partly due to the lack of products, development, and poor maintenance of tourist attraction. Available tourism package which do not fully capitalize on local culture, arts, and heritage product have failed to entice tourists in appreciating Malaysian culture. And there are a few solutions that I think from my reading that we can do to restore our tourism industry, which is restoring tourist confidence, enhancing quality of product and services, strengthening the Malaysia brand and marketing strategies. So after the pandemic, the post-COVID-19, restoring tourist confidence is very important. Safety and hygiene are key determinant for tourists when deciding on holiday destinations and for event organizers when selecting location for meetings, incentive, conventions, and exhibition. Especially since the COVID-19 pandemic, since COVID-19 pandemic, in reviving the tourism industries and ensuring its resilience and vibrancy, safety and hygiene will be the main focus in all branding and promotional efforts. Number two is enhancing quality of product and service. Eco-tourism product and service which distinctly portray Malaysian experience will be promoted as premier product targeting high-value tourists. Specific monitoring mechanism should be established at ecotourism destination such as Kilim Geoforest Park in Kedah, Oil Belum State in Perak, Darun Valley in Sabah, and Mulu National Park in Sarawak. This is to ensure the sanctity and sustainability of these sites. And number three is strengthening the Malaysia brand and marketing strategies. For this, the Malaysia, as we can see, Malaysia tagline for tourism is Malaysia is truly Asia. The Malaysia truly Asia tagline should be revitalized to leverage the brand recognition and value built through the past effort. Attractive tour package should be continued and should be developed and marketed showcasing destination and activities that include culture, arts, heritage elements to provide a unique experience. Next. So this is one of the news that I screenshot. Laluan ke kincir angin Pulau Perhentian akan dirobohkan. As we can see, Pulau Perhentian in Terengganu are one of the most attractive place for tourists to take the holiday. But because of the lack of maintenance, one of the attractive place we cannot fully utilize the Pulau Perhentian. And for this is the latest news, 15 October 2021 from Bernama, which is a penemuan rangka manusia prasejarah. So yeah, we know that penemuan rangka manusia prasejarah is something new, and why not we just take it to use is a promotional to our tourism industries, because this is the proof that in Malaysia, in Asia, East Asia, there is kehidupan awal lah dalam negara. Next. And the third one is halal industry. During the 11 plan initiative were undertaken to ensure an integrated and comprehensive development of the domestic halal industries. Effort will focus on development of halal standard and certification, branding and promotion, as well as commercialization of halal products and services. The total contribution of the halal industry to GDP in 2019 was 7.6%, valued at 115.5 billion. Out of this, 69.3 was from the manufacturing sectors and 30.7 from the service sector. The industry grew by an average of 5.5% per annum during the 2016 to 2019 period. In addition, the value of halal export increased marginally by 0.8% per annum from 39.4 billion to 40.6 billion during the 2016-2019 period. However, in 2020, the GDP contribution decreased from 92.7 billion and export declined sharply to 30.6 billion. So this is the initiative for halal industries, and the problem is the halal industry continues to face several issues and challenge both domestically and internationally. And from solution, establishing halal professional recognition, uplifting the development of halal talent, positioning Malaysia as a global halal hub. Establishing halal professional recognition. The Halal Professional Board, HPB, under JAKIM should be restructured, and they should have play their role even more. As for now, people, especially in Malaysia, they are still arguing whether the food is halal or not, or the cosmetic is halal or not. So it seems like that the Halal Professional Board, they need to improve to be more proactive, to play their role, and uplifting the development of halal talent. And expansion of the halal industry will increase demand and creative opportunity for halal talent and professionals to actively participate in the industry. In this regard, the halal occupational framework should be expanded to include talent requirement in high potential industries such as the pharmaceutical, cosmetic, and medical service industry through engagement with the industry. As we can see that for now, we have University UIA, we have USIM, but at the moment we don't see how the universities and how the student, how the graduate students would like to join more on halal industries. They are more focusing more on like to be an accountant, doctors and everything, but to be in the halal industry, there are not much patience on the students. Next. This is the what we can see. Not everything is bad. For I think, for my personal opinion, halal industry in Malaysia is really good, but it's not just that. We need to improve. As we can see, Malaysia is the only country that will supply halal food for 2020's Tokyo Olympics. So I think this is the recognition that world give to us in the halal industries. Should I stop here? And number 4 is MSMEs continue to play an important role in economics development during the 11th plan period. As of December 2020, a total of 1151239 established were categorized as MSEs, constituting 97.2% of total registered company. And there are few will be categorized as MSMEs, such as service sectors, construction, manufacturing, agriculture, and mining and quarrying. In 2020, MSME contribute 38.2 or 512.8 billion to GDP, compared with 37 or 435.1 billion in 2015. So this is the initiative for MSMEs. MSMEs remain uncompetitive due to low technology adoption, lack of skilled talent and management, as well as facing constrict access to finance. Solution is to creating innovative and sustainable entrepreneurs, promoting inclusive participation through MSMEs, cooperative and agriculture-based institutions, creating a conductive holistic ecosystem for entrepreneurship. So how, for the first solution is creating innovative and sustainable entrepreneurs. How do we need to solve this? Creating innovative and sustainable entrepreneurs. So how? Through, as what I can see, is to create the innovative and sustainable entrepreneurs. The entrepreneurs should have given more exposure, not just in Malaysia, but also to the outside in Malaysia. How they can see and exchange the opinion between the entrepreneurs from outside in Malaysia. How they maintain, how they sustain, especially in the MSMEs, especially for now is after the COVID-19 post, and promoting inclusive participation through MSMEs. Yeah. So, but to promoting inclusive participation is we can start to promote attract the interest of our students, especially in Malaysia, on MSMEs by the education. And for now, if we can see, before this we have a canteen day, which is not just it just in another way train our student in Malaysia to start to grow and to planning how to make a business, and creating conductive and holistic ecosystem for entrepreneurship. So this is part of one of the issue government to create the holistic ecosystem for entrepreneurship. And this is one of the news. Next. So the conclusion is, during the 11th plan, measure undertaken to accelerate the momentum of economic growth have brought positive results with steady growth of a number of industries as well as MSMEs. However, several issues and challenges continue to hamper effort to expedite the growth of these industries and MSMEs. The unprecedented disruption from the COVID-19 pandemic has slowed down the economic growth and affected the resilience of entrepreneurs and industries. Effort to rein in the industry need to be made. All parties, including the government and private sector, should play their respective role as well as support from the government effort. Thank you. That's all.
Thank you very much, Syed Muhammad Adam bin Abu Bakar. It's my pleasure to invite Yang Berbahagia to KSU and KSUP.
Okay, thank you, Encik Adam, for elaborating in chapter 3. In this chapter 3, it talks about the performance of strategic and high impact industry, such as creative industry, tourism industry, halal industry, and also biomass industry. For your information, our minister is very keen with the circular economy, which is related to the biomass industry. How do you see this biomass industry? How to leverage this industry to be more valuable and contribute to our GDP?
First, what can I see to what minister like the circular economy? First is marketing. What we can do is not just yes, we know that we have our product, especially in MPIC, we have we are keen to promote the biomass, but for my personal opinion, it's not just that we should have a good product, but we should have a good promoting product. We should good at promote the product, and so that not just us know about the product. We should know about we should tell the world that Malaysia, especially in biomass industries, we are good at that. So I think that's one of the solutions that I can see how to improve our biomass industries in Malaysia.
You are Jadam from corporate communication. So you can see for as a corporate communication officer, so it is important that you're able to grasp important you dapat memahami dasar-dasar kerajaan lah, supaya itu akan memberi satu apa kata, to give you a good foundation in terms of reporting, you know. So bila we know, katakan let's say we want to do this biomass policy lah, strategy lah. So you memang dah buat chapter ni kan, you have done this chapter, so you know there's as a high impact or strategic industry. So we can say it's one of the industry that we identified in RMK-12. So nampak macam you know your area lah. So itu yang akan membantu you. It will help you when you read the chapter, even any chapter that you read for that matter. So you can relate back, and then this is aligned. This is in line or aligned to the initiative strategies as spelled out in the RMK-12. So since your area is in corporate communication, so you can mention everything in general, but you just focus on, for example, probably in your area, it will be more related to creative industry. So you can talk more about it. So when you present something, so just be natural. This, macam you can, when you guys are not stressed, can. So try to relax and talk. Talk to your audience as though you're talking to a friend. You're telling a story about chapter 3. So that will make things more relaxed and more, how to say, interesting lah. So that way, you can bring about, relate your experience in the creative industry. Why our creative industry tend to be focused on horror movies saja lah. Contohlah, mungkin kita orang artistik tau, so pandai lukis-lukis, buat nampak takut. Kita orang ada, that means our people are quite good at artistic work. So atau banyak melawat kubur, cerita-cerita kubur tu, so dia Pontianak lah, apa, langsir lah, langsui lah, kan, benda tu. So they have more dengan bomo lah, so the knowledge is there. So they tend to focus on this kind of creative industry, like Tamil movies. Tamil movies, you know lah kan, Tamil movies. So they are the element core dia. Satu dia kena pandai berlawan, itu parang di luar kan. There's no offense to our people there, but that is a reality in the village tu macam tu lah. Dengan minuman keras dia kan, dengan gangsterism tu. So they make movie all tend to be revolved like that lah. So bila kita kena cuba lihat, we must try to look in our own scenario, then talk about it, then become very interesting. So kita kena able to see back lah, able to see back. Right? So this chapter is a very important chapter because it focuses on, as mentioned by Jadi, the strategic and high impact industry. So whereby it has a potential to contribute even more to the economy. For example, the micro, small and medium enterprises. Mentioned 97% are SMEs. But what is the difference between our SMEs or the SMEs in Japan? SMEs in Japan or SMEs in Germany? Anybody know what's the difference? Also SMEs, but they tend to focus on very specialized services. They specialize in very specialized services and they support the bigger companies. Right. So SMEs, they are very skilled workers. And then they use very high specialized technology. They tend to be like that. So the SMEs play a bigger role as compared to our SME. 97%, or rather 1.30 number establishment or 1.1 million number establishment. They only contribute how many percent? The SMEs, most of it is contributed by the larger corporation. Kan benda-benda tu kita kena, when you talk about something, you know, apart from chapter, we must able to relate back with the Malaysian scenario and then talk about it. So dia jadi lebih menarik lah. Terima kasih.
Thank you again, Cik Muhammad Adam bin Abu Bakar.
Jadi bagus lah.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with the fourth presenter. For this, may I invite Puan Azrin binti Ahmad from PSA to present Chapter 4, Enhancing Defence, Security, Well-being and Unity. Please welcome.
Please excuse my nervousness.
Orang dos lah. Orang dos.
No, I'm quite sian. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and very good morning.
Kau mah dalam tu boleh jawab. Easy to talk lah.
Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh and a very good morning to our yang bahagia Datuk KSU, Datuk Rabin saya, our TKSUP, Encik Abdul Hadi, SUB PSM, penghuni, members of the hall, and not to forget everyone watching online and listening online. My name is Azrin Ahmad. I'm from PSA, and today I'm going to share on Chapter 4 of RMK-12 on enhancing defense, security, well-being, and unity. In this chapter, we have 5 priority areas, and for each area, there are 3 strategies, and the total number of the strategies is 15. The first priority area is on ensuring national security and sovereignty, and it's about safeguarding national sovereignty, intensifying efforts in crime prevention, rehabilitation, emergency preparedness, as well as the welfare of personnel, and strengthening security governance. For the priority area B is on healthcare, and the government is all about redesigning the healthcare service, strengthening health financing and public awareness, and leveraging technology. The third priority area is on the supply of quality, affordable housing, and is on improving access to affordable housing, enhancing governance, and also ensuring inclusive housing. For the D priority area is on building an active nation through sports, and the government wanted to promote sports for active and healthy living, enhancing sports excellence, and developing sport industry. And the last priority area is strengthening unity for a prosperous nation, and it's about embracing diversity, building a more tolerant society, and strengthening the governance. In the effort to achieve the strategies, 12 selected targets were set, and for the national security and sovereignty, our government target to place Malaysia in 10 rank in Global Peace Index, and 238 cases for index crime cases per 100,000 population, and police response time is within 10 minutes. For the healthcare, we are targeting 114.1 for the Malaysian Wellbeing Index, reduce the risk of premature mortality by 2%, reduce the prevalence of smoking by 6.3%, and target to have the doctor to population ratio is 1 to 400, and having the hospital beds per 1,000 population ratio is at 2.06. And for the supply of quality affordable housing, we are targeting to construct 500,000 units of affordable houses. For the active nation, sports in building and active nation, we target 63.3 for Malaysian Sports Culture Index. And for the unity for a prosperous nation, We aim for 0.7 national unity index and formulate a national unity policy. To elaborate on this chapter, I would like to go by the aspects of the topic itself, which is defense, security, well-being, and unity. There are many initiatives planned by the government in order to fulfill every aspect of the priority area. Thus, I'm going to share on certain issues and the initiatives. Thus, I'm going to share on certain issues and the initiatives by the governments to overcome the issue, as well as my point of view for certain issues. The first aspect is defense. The focus issue is about influx of illegal immigrants. So one of the government initiative is actually to cooperate with state government on community participation in channeling information of illegal immigrants. And the other one is improving enforcement system dealing with immigrants who came in legally, but then stay here even though the working permit is expired. So what I've seen here, I just wanted to give my opinion. Maybe giving incentive to any individual who channel out reliable information of illegal immigrants might be a good deal. But then when we talk about incentive, then of course fake information might keep on coming in. So the enforcement agencies must filter all those information to differentiate which is fake and just which one is true. For the second focus issue is on border control. One of the initiatives is to add more security posts along international borders, especially in Sabah and Sarawak. And to improve border control by doing joint operations and border patrolling on land and maritime, and to use advanced system and technology as surveillance tools such as CCTV, drone. These can compensate for the limited number of personnel and can cover the inaccessible area. For adding more security posts, it is very helpful if the enforcement personnel working truthfully. Working truthfully means that avoid any inefficient enforcement. For example, bribes. As we can see, actually, we have enforcement personnel in every or each border, but then still we heard news about smuggling activities happen in our country. So if there is no inefficient enforcement, of course, there will be no smuggling activities. So bribes is one of the issue, but then maybe there's not other issue that I can't post yet. But this is what is my point of view. And in terms of security, the focus issue is on crime prevention. The government initiative is one of the government initiative. One of the government initiative is to implement all-rounder programs involving PDRM, BIAN, etc., to create awareness of crime prevention through social media, to promote information exchange related to crime, and to improve cybercrime investigation performance. Implementing programs between PDRM and community actually will gain public trust and confidence. The concept of stop and talk, meet and greet should be applied. In my opinion, focusing in small area first. Via this concept, PDRM might gather more information on crime as well as sharing crime prevention steps with the community. For the drugs issue, the government wanted to combat drugs trafficking, review on drugs-related laws, amend on relevant provision to delist drug addicts who are zero crime from criminal register for the purpose of employment, and to conduct awareness program. In terms of amend or relevant provision to delist drug addicts who are zero crime from criminal register, to give a second chance in life, for me, is a humanity act. But my suggestion, they shall be given a certain period of time before being delisted from the register, because often we know that drug abuse will lead to other crime issues. So when we give a time period, what we can say is maturity period before delisting is a win-win situation for them and the employer as well as the society. And then for the data sharing issue, government initiated to introduce a national digital identification policy regarding allowing population registration data sharing inter-agency. This one is very useful actually because it's a solo platform to be referred by us. But then the issue, the concern, my concern is about maintaining the security and to avoid any leakage of any confidential data. For well-being aspect, for well-being aspect, one of the issue is health programs and awareness. And what caught me is the strengthen to strengthen quit smoking program. Smoking ban at eateries was conducted nationwide in 2019. The effectiveness of the ban campaign showed good sign at the time, as the National Health and Mobility Survey found out that there was a decrease in the percentage of cigarette smoke exposure to passive smokers in open premises from 51.9% to 43.4% in 2019. But as for now, it seems no longer continuous action. The execution, for me, the execution should be strengthened and continuous. The second issue is on access to healthcare service. Government initiative is to leverage e-hailing service to provide home healthcare services, giving online medical consultation, introduce mobile applications for appointments, medical and prescription reports, and leverage e-payment platform. What I want to suggest is one of it is create a drop-out counter at the outside of the government hospital or clinics to drop out any unused prescribed medicine, because sometimes one of family members one of our maybe one of our family members have already died, but before that they are on treatment, and the leftover medicine is at our home and still not expired, and maybe we just like if a dropout counter is outside the hospital, we just drop out, and it will reduce time to access parking and all the walking distance just for the sake of to drop out the medicine. The third issue is on the quality affordable housing. Government initiated to establish a database to monitor home ownership and to capitalize land owned by federal state, government, workers land to develop house. And in terms of financing and cost, the government will introduce ceiling price in secondary market, improve on housing financing schemes for B40 and M40, and encourage developers to use IBS technology to manage costs. But recently, the cost of construction materials keeps on rising, so the price of steel had increased like 100% while prices of PVC pipes and aluminium alloy went up between 30 to 40% depending on the size. So the question is how to supply quality affordable housing for the target groups while the materials keep on rising. So in my point of view, I think government must quickly address and control on this issue. For the fourth issue is on active and healthy lifestyle. This one is regarding sport facilities and athlete, but in terms of exposure for the athlete, I would like to see more opportunity to young athletes exposed in world level championship. It can boost up their confidence, and these early exposures will give them better and wider perspective on the competition. And the last one is on unity aspects. The diversity, the focus issue is on diversity. The government initiated to organize cultural programs by the Kawasan Rupa Tetangga KRT, intensify engagement session at all levels, and promote language learning of other races. To make sure that this initiative goes well, I think the representative from every race is a must in KRT committee, because sometimes you can see that the KRT member, that there's no multiracial in the KRT member committee. So I think if the representative from every race in KRT committee exists, this will help in improving and expanding any unity program in living area. Hence, it also helps in build up the prosperous nation. So as the conclusion, we can see this word cloud. I generated from the entire chapter. You can see there's well-being, there's security, there's national, there's defense. All this have been captured by our government. But I believe to achieve all initiatives and those targets, it's time for Rakyat to complement the government actions. Thus, we as Rakyat must fulfill all the responsibility. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Bang Azrin binti Ahmad. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to invite Yang Berbahagia to KSU and to KSP to ask questions to the presenter.
Thank you for Azrin for the presentation. Chapter 4 is about enhancing defense, security, well-being, and unity. As we know that our sector, agri-commodity industry, is highly depends on foreign workers. This year, we plan to bring about 32,000 foreign workers in palm oil sector. Which this, in your opinion, how to ensure that this group, these foreign workers, do not jeopardize our well-being and security, and they also do not involve in forced labor?
I think from my opinion, for the forced labor, actually it's the responsibility of the employer. The employer must gather all information about their workers, their foreign workers, and we should, if the foreign work, we might do this if the foreign workers jeopardize any of our well-being or doing any illegal issues, we might compound the employer. That's my opinion. But the 32K is quite
small number
it's a small number
compared to the
But yeah, but 32K might jeopardize our well-being also. That's my
Azrin, I think you should keep the paper away.
the nervousness.
Nervousness. Alright, okay. Congratulations on the presentation. You can present well. It's clear what you're doing, and you also have chosen some area to focus, and then to expand on it. Right? So this chapter is all about feeling the well-being of the people, feeling safe, leading an active lifestyle, and then talk about the society united. Right? So we need to feel the chapter. Right? When we feel the chapter, so it's easy for you to talk about it. Right? For example, do you feel safe, walking any part of Putrajaya? Do you feel safe at night if you go alone?
In Putrajaya, yes.
Putrajaya yes lah. Kalau pergi dekat Dengkin,
In my hometown, my hometown Kelang, I can I can't feel safe.
So you can compare between Putrajaya and Klang itself. So why do you think Klang is you feel not safe as compared to Putrajaya? Based on what are you saying that Klang is not as safe as Putrajaya?
I think it's about the population.
Lampu tak terang ke? Semua nampak miskin ke? Sini semua orang nampak kaya-kaya.
It's too compact in Klang. It's too compact in Klang. Is here in Putrajaya we feel peace.
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 Sebab banyak masjid ke? Banyak jambatan ke? Jalan luas.
Maybe the facilities is there, and the people is actually the nature of the people is we know that we are government servants, but in Klang there is variety of background, so it really feels safer here.
So what do you think we can do to improve feeling of being safe in Klang? What do you think we should do? You are coming from there, right?
Yes.
So if you are given, now you are the Prime Minister. So what would you do? So what the first thing, one thing you will do first? Put more lights. Contoh. Get more police.
Yes, I think that
patrolling more often, 24 hours everywhere.
the omnipresence of the PDRM.
So actually, and they, so we talk about all these kind of unity also. There's also been touched. Why this issue about unity? So since the new economic policy also talks about restructuring the society, to eradicate poverty, So it takes such a long time, to reach. In fact, we're still talking about unity after how many years of independence coming. So what is the real? What do you think is the real issue? Is it because our policy is very, though our policy doesn't mention about race? Is it our policy is very racial centric? What is the main reason?
I think the riot itself, there's no Malaysian in ourselves. There is, but there's no such a passion as Malaysian. Because if last time in my last time when we are in the secondary school, primary school, we can just like have a best friend from other races. But now, when we go through at the social media comments on FB or Twitter or anything, they just feel out like that, like we are not like in one, we are not united at all. Macam sampai hati macam tu, spill out everything. Like macam you disgusting, you Malay like this, and you Indian like this. There's Malaysian no more in us. I think it's in us us. That's the gist I think from the unity.
That is a very interesting topic, but it can be quite sensitive.
Yes.
This chapter can be quite sensitive. But again, and days, we should all be working towards one goal.
Yes.
One goal. This country, like in Singapore, the crime rate is so low that you feel safe. But not only feel safe, you're being watched. So when you're driving in Singapore, you know, camera
It's everywhere.
bila WhatsApp tu ada kamera, red light kamera lah, ada kamera depan kita, semua rasa takut. Saya rasa very stressed driving in Singapore as compared to Malaysia. Though Malaysia we have all kind of drivers, but there's not much of camera watching us. I feel more relaxed lah. But in terms of safety, it's not there because here even our drivers lah, sudah merah dia mau jalan juga, dia tak mau berhenti sampai jalan juga. Apapun government driver, notice it. So probably we need to have more camera to be watched, and then that will avoid theft, any others. I mean, crime taking place, can be avoided. People be more courteous on road. They follow rules. Manusia ni perlu dipantau, sentiasa dipantau. Kalau once tutup pintu, kan dalam bilik tu apa-apa dia boleh buat. Tapi so that's why I need to but then it doesn't give you the kind of privacy lah. Kita pun boleh pasang juga kamera, tengok siapa keluar masuk, keluar daripada building ni, keluar daripada parking lot ni, siapa, bila dia balik, semua kita boleh buat. Kan? And there is about the own integrity lah, integrity. So sometimes you write all these chapter kan, we write again, next plan also write again, but doesn't get into us. So benda tu perlu diingatkan sampai bila kita nak tulis chapter ni. Sebab tu benda buku ni pun tebal juga, sebab banyak dasar-dasar, a lot of policies, past policies need to be mentioned and restated and reiterated. So whether this policy alone not sufficient. So kadang-kadang boleh. So when he deliver talk, itulah. Kalau kita baca ni and then when we deliver word by word, susah nak cakap kan. So you can say this chapter focuses on what? Mainly on well-being, unity, talk about feeling safe. So to me, why this policy then? So benda apa lah cerita sikit. Tapi you dah baca dah. Karena bila nak fikir secara kritikal tu, you need to bring in your personal touch. So that will make for all presenters the personal touch in delivering the message to apa ni. Bila cerita tu, orang lebih suka dengar cerita kan, lebih suka dengar presentation yang kadang-kadang tertulis lah dalam buku ni. Budak-budak dari kecil pun kita suka dengar cerita kan. Lepas tu tengok cerita movie, semua kita suka, boleh ingat. So that's one way of using the approach lah. I think you can deliver, but kadang-kadang buang saja benda tu, then speak from your heart, what you think, that be more interesting lah. Lepas ni go bakal benda tu.
I will.
No, keep lah. I think quite interesting. This chapter is very interesting chapter. We talk about security, talk about defense, you know. And then we also talk about, it depends what is the area of interest. We talk about housing, affordable housing. Kalau hari ni nak beli rumah, tahu lah, 500,000 biasalah. Terrace. Kondo pun sudah 600, 800, 1 juta. No, not talking about 1 juta. So recently, my daughter said that farmer 1 million. 1 million. Wait. You know, but then that is the, you know, our young generation have to deal with lah, especially when stay in the Klang Valley ni, memang mahal. Kalau Sungai Pelik murah lagi. Datanglah. Sungai Pelik, banglo masih boleh dapat bila 450, 500,000, 600,000. Kan? Tapi itulah, sama ada, tapi dia jauh daripada kemudahan. We talk about hospital, healthcare services, it's not there. Kan? So, and then there's only klinik kesihatan saja. Kenapa kita masih klinik kesihatan? Lepas tu, kalau nak dapatkan X-ray kena pandu 20-30 km pergi kepada Salam, dari Sungai Pelik. Nak ambil X-ray aja lah. Lepas tu ambil X-ray tu balik, you know, macam tu lah. So that is kind of services we have. So macam mana kita boleh tambah baik dan sebagainya. Anyway, so it will be more interesting. And we link it up with our keadaan sekeliling kita. Where they coming from. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you again, Puan Azrin binti Ahmad. Ladies and gentlemen, we will continue with the fifth presenter.
Ada break.
We can have some.
We take a break lah.
Sure.
10 minute break.
I think 10 minutes.
Berapa lagi? 2 lagi ya?
Yeah, only 2.
Satu.
pleased to present Chapter 5, Addressing Poverty and Building an Inclusive Society. Please welcome.
Very good morning. I greet this to Secretary General Yang Berbahagia Datuk Ari Muhtaya, Deputy Secretary General Encik Hadi, Under Secretary Puan Hanim, and also the rest who are joining on live stream. Good morning to everyone. Okay, for this chapter, I'm going to touch about something very dear to all of us, poverty and building an inclusive society. Living in Malaysia, surely we want to build something more inclusive. We will want to build something that's more integrated within our community itself, whereby everyone can live freely and also be happy among one another, living side by side with one another, and also at the same time reducing the poverty rate in Malaysia. So this is what the chapter is going to be talking about. So I'll move on to the next one. Two aspects that we need to understand about this chapter is poverty. So in SDG 1, it has been talking about no poverty, so which means to say that we want to make poverty as little or no poverty at all. And the second aspect to it is inclusive society. The definition came out from the World Summit for Social Development in Copenhagen in 1995, which talks about a society for all, whereby all races are all inclusive into a society. So this is interesting. I would like to show you guys in terms of different districts, different states and federal territory. We can see that Putrajaya is on the most left, which shows that the absolute poverty within Putrajaya is at its lowest. As compared to the most furthest one, as we can see, is actually in Sabah. So Sabah has the highest absolute poverty ratio as compared to the other states and also federal territory. So what happens if we allow such things to happen even further? We have the existence of a B50 category. And this is especially adamant to poorer states such as in Sabah for itself, especially when it comes to a pandemic situation, whereby we have like COVID-19 pandemic that could have struck. This is just one scenario that has happened for now. So for us to not prevent the B40 category to expand out the B50 category, we need to be assured or be more assured of to ensure that in the future, whenever something big were to happen, such as another major pandemic were to happen, we won't have the existence of a B50 category. So among the poverty among groups in Malaysia, which focuses more on the inclusivity part, we can see that the median monthly household for Bumiputra is the lowest as compared to the Chinese and Indian races. Absolute poverty, which hardcore poverty is a subset of, we can see that absolute poverty is 7.2 among Bumiputra, 1.4 among the Chinese community, and 4.8 among the Indian community. And this is what the first presenter has presented, the poverty income of 2,208 ringgit. So for hardcore poverty is where the income is 1169. So this is the group of people who are barely making it day by day to be able to afford the basic need. So as you can see that the Bumiputra category is on the 0.5%, which is higher than the Chinese category, which is 0.1%, and the Indian category, which is 0.4%. In this, in my division, whereby there are various existing schemes that we can offer to various society in the oil palm plantation. So smallholders, independent smallholders, covering the hectareage of 40.46. We do have various schemes that we can offer, such as the replanting scheme, and also the incentive for integration scheme. We also have various other incentives for sustainable measures, such as MSPO or the Malaysian Sustainable Palm Oil Incentive for Smallholders. Scheme discount chantas is very much for machinery for pruning, and also various types of scheme that is also under other ministries such as MAFI, which is the scheme Tanaman Kontan Perkebun Kecil Sawit B40 or TKB40. Okay, so these issues, what I have derived on is from the 6 issues and challenges that can be found in the book itself. So from that issue and challenges, what we derive that is related to my division will be these 4 points. Unskilled youth community in the face of 4 IR challenges, low household income among Bumiputra and the Indian community, women participation and limited job opportunities for the disabled group. So for the first point, unskilled youth community in the face of 4 IR challenges. So especially in the more urban areas or certain areas whereby it's more academically inclined, so there could be a possibility that young people lack a certain amount of experience in terms of handling technology, such as drone technology, which has been around for a while now, and also technologies that are imported from overseas, but not all people can operate that technology, especially youth, because they do not have the experience that they learn in school to operate such technology. So what can we do when it comes to facing this kind of issue and challenges is that we can send youth or trainers from programs, whether local or overseas, and to be able to train those people to actually be able to gain the knowledge of technology operation. With that itself, youth or the trainer who are training us can actually build more insight in terms of how we can operate the technology properly, and with that itself, we can train youth for career advancement at a very young age, whereby once they get up into university or whatnot and they were to look for a job, they learn skilled ability, which is the operation of technology such as drone. So one example of a company that is doing so is Mata Aerotech with their drone technology. So Mata Aerotech is basically a company that has alliance with a Taiwan-based company, which is Joseph Aerospace and Technology Incorporation. So they have been operating this for 10 years now. So what this company have been doing is that they have been training people from college fellows to be able to operate this kind of technology. So among the technology that encompasses within the drone technology is area survey, data collection, data analytics, and application. And the 2 types of drone that they are operating is Alphas2 and Parasol. Yeah. So this one, I think a lot of us can relate to is the low household income among Bumiputra and Indian communities. If you were to refer back to the RMK-12 book, so there are 2 categories that I have separated them into, the Bumiputra category and the Indian community category. So low household income compared to other races is one of the reasons, as how you have seen in the earlier slide. High employment rate, whereby it's 57.1% compared to other ethnic groups, and the percentage of Bumiputra holding white-collar jobs are low, such as in accountant, which is only just 8.9%, and in architects, which is only 41.3%. And also in terms of home ownership for Bumiputra, it's only it hasn't reached the 75% target that the RMK is trying to set for the Bumiputra categories. Now, for the Indian categories, Indian community categories, there is the low occupation and lack of entrepreneurial opportunity, which is cited into the RMK-12 for the reason why it's difficult for them to secure jobs, and also the social challenges that has been happening into the Indian community, which is unconducive living condition, dysfunctional family, and also gangsterism among youth. So there are a lot of more social issues for this community itself. So what we can derive is that probably one of the reasons why this happened is because of financial issue itself, because we don't have enough money, or this can trigger itself. So when we want to actually get this community to be able to have enough income to support themselves and to support their family itself, and furthermore to reduce conflict within the family, what we would like to do is, because at the moment as well, we notice that labor workers, it's hard for us to bring them from overseas because of certain documentation issue, especially during this COVID time. So what can we do is that probably we can have Malaysian Palm Oil Association, MPOA, the Ministry of Human Resources, and also other industry players to work hand in hand. This will be very helpful to actually build up this community so that we can actually set a certain number of jobs available for this community so that they will be able to make a decent income to support themselves and also their family. So with that itself, guarantee them a minimum wage with the salary offered at those plantation locations. So such outreach program that we can do for this community is that for the Indian community itself, probably we can have representatives to actually speak for the community itself, to offer them jobs probably in the mill or probably in the plantation sector itself. So women participation in the workforce is not as much as men. So for women, as compared to majority of the women in Malaysia, it's only 55.3, whereas men working into the sector of various industry is 80.6%. So we want to actually have women to be more able to actually contribute to the working sector, which we would target to be 56% for RMK-12. So what we can do is that we can actually attract more women to work on industries that are more suitable for them. Whereby if you were to talk about upstream sectors, probably they only can work in certain limited sectors because of security reason. This also can be related to us. If you were to put it personally, imagine our daughters were to work into a plantation sector, which is a male dominant industry, and safety is also an issue that can be brought upon. So therefore, maybe in terms of pushing all of them to the upstream sector, we can also have some of them to the downstream sector, whereby we can talk about suitability in identifying what kind of job would suit them. Probably when a person were to come to apply for a job itself, probably there's an opening for upstream and downstream sector. We can probably do a bit of a more background check kind of thing, so that they will be able to know if that job suits them on either sector. So if the sector has been designated for her, then I believe that the company should as well be providing necessary assistance so that they will be able to kickstart into this industry, especially in plantation industry. So therefore, we'd like to highlight that safety is an issue for this group, because the women community should be taken care of also, especially when it comes to working in the industries like this. So one of the ways that we can put women into the plantation sector is by research. We can do R&D, such as lab work, or we can do some sort of like a work that what we're doing right now, like PTD, for example. We can have women representing the plantation industry in meetings and whatnot. Okay, so limited job opportunities for the disabled group. There are 7 types of disability for disabled people, which is the auditory, which is the hearing, blindness, vision, speech, which is what I'm doing now, talking. So physical will be mobility or immobility. So learning is the level of ability to learn something new, and so mental, and so mixed could be a concoction of either one of these, or either few of these. So for us to be able to bring out the opportunities for disabled group of people to be able to earn an income is by bringing up the perkeliling of Perkhidmatan Bilangan 16 tahun 2010, which means each ministry must have a minimum of 1% appointment for disabled group, which is also what the RMK-12 is trying to target as well. 1% of disabled group of people to be able to serve in the ministry. And the next one is pemekasan golongan kurang upaya. This is a point that I added, which is to provide solution for those who are disabled to work in specific department based on ability. Okay, basically, if like let's say auditory, you can't hear, but that you have the ability of sight and touch probably. So therefore, you can be able to work in certain division, certain parts of the industry that is out there, or within the ministry itself. So it really depends on which one suits them best. So we'd like to touch on that. And also incentive can be in terms of money or training. Like let's say for those people who actually attends any of these kind of specific job requirement, they may need additional step of training, additional ability to be able to learn something new. So therefore, during that process of being trained itself, this group of people can also be given certain incentives such as money, so that they will be able to afford to probably commute for the training that they are required to attend. So there are few companies out there who are actually engaging in terms of helping the disabled community. So as you can see on the most right, you have McDonald's, and then we have Baked with Dignity, Hafid, Traders Hotel, and Tender Hearts. So as I've mentioned earlier, these companies offers job based on their ability itself. So they are able to fold probably clothes itself. It's already good enough for them to be able to be given a job in one of these companies out there, and at the same time being able to earn an income. So yeah. So just to conclude, collaboration and strong teamwork with various agency and corporation is needed to head down to the group and to pay attention to the needs of the people for solutions to be formed, so as to able to build a more inclusive society where various number of people will be able to exclude from poverty. So the whole entire idea for this chapter is to reduce poverty, to uplift people in terms of their ability to actually generate a decent financial income. And as we do so along the road to lesser poverty, we will be able to ensure that they will be able to reduce other conflicts, such as family conflict itself. Once we will be able to generate good income, decent income for this community, to be able to bring up themselves and also their family. With that, I conclude. Thank you so much for having me present. Thank you.
Thank you, Chair Shangwin. So next, I would like to invite Member Education to speak to us. Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Shangwin, for your presentation. In this section, it touched about empowering specific target group.
Yeah, correct.
Empowering the role of women and promoting gender equality.
Yeah.
So women will be empowered to play a more significant role in society.
Yeah.
So if we look at the student enrollment in higher education institution, it's about 65% is female, and 35% is male.
Yeah.
It shows that female a woman has a better access in higher education compared to men.
Yeah.
So I think if we look at the participate in the workforce, okay, I think it's by choice. Women don't want to work, and sometimes the nature of work is not suitable for women.
Right.
So it's not the issue of gender, issue of discrimination. So how do you look at this issue? I think the men we should empower the men, it's not women, because the women in the higher education is 65% female students.
When you're more educated, doesn't mean you will continue on working forever. So this is the thing. So probably you can be more educated, then after a while you will feel comfortable settling down, then that is by choice. But according to what we can do to actually get more women to actually be participative in workplace, it's probably to offer something that is more decent for them. Probably they can, plantation sector is just one of the sectors that we can offer them as a job. Probably there are other sectors that are more decent for them to earn an income. Probably that's one way that we can look into so that they will be able to generate income from there. But again, if especially what's being said by Encik Hadi is by choice, then I think what is by choice they choose, then I guess there's nothing much we can do. But at least for more future generation, if there's a way that we can get them to be able to contribute to the economy, then I guess there's a way that we can help them by various schemes and job opportunity there is. Yeah.
There's no discrimination against women.
Discrimination against women, probably in terms of board members, probably in terms of percentage of board members, probably there is a bit of a quota set, but then maybe for this sector, I think I think the whole entire idea is to get women to have an equal chance or 50-50 chance, but then I think it will take a lot of effort to actually get women to participate in it. So it's a challenge also, I do admit.
Thank you, Arvin, for your presentation. When you talk about poverty, inclusiveness, that relates to the society, we need to look at the fabric of the society itself, understanding the historical background of it. So those people who have come here, for example, the Chinese and Indian, to seek better opportunities. So normally those migrant, immigrant category of workers, for example, they tend to do better. You see, we see in developed countries, those Chinese who have gone to US, these Indians who have gone to UK, or the Middle East who have gone. They have this immigrant, I would say, race, used to be the immigrant race. They have one objective, that is to accumulate as much wealth as possible. So the mindset is different, right? So since the mindset is different from nothing they accumulate to save, and then from there they build up. You see. So dia punya, so each of our is a different type of race that we have. The Chinese, Malay are basically they are native. So the Indians are also immigrant, but somehow the immigrants, the Indians in Malaysia, you know how many Indians we have in Malaysia? Do you know? I think about less than 2 million, 7%, about 1.8 million Indians, 1.6. Very small, but you see the when you presented the hardcore poverty, 0.4%, as compared to the Malaysia 0.5%. Even a small minority group like that, we are unable to tackle. What more about the larger proportion of the society, and the Malays being more than 80%. So something, and then you showed the disparity, right? Bila Persekutuan, and then now Putrajaya, then Bila Persekutuan, as compared to Sabah, Kelantan, and Sarawak. You know, what contributed to this disparity? Is it because our development is very centric in the developed areas? We tend to focus in those areas, and the other bigger states, because they lack a lot of opportunities. So that's the reason they have been. Okay. So what I mean is, we tend to focus on development where the facilities are there. The port facility, the rail facility, the connectivity is there. It's a business center. We keep doing that. You're going to attract. You're going to attract more people from the rural to shift. And now you already have 80% coming there. So, is the government policy, is it something that we are making the situation worse off? Are we, though we know there's a lot of disparity, but then our initiatives, the plan that government put forth seems to go in the other direction. So, so in one, or probably I used to mention, like German. See, German, what they do is they don't bring everybody to the city, and then you need to think about housing, you need to think about the infrastructure, time wasted in jams, and then you need to expand the facility, the sewerage, and everything. So there's a lot more expenses. Why is it that we if they didn't do like that, German didn't do like that. What German did was, I mentioned this to a few of my officers, where you live, you work there. That means the job opportunity is within the area where they live. So we tend to push our population to the urban areas. Now we are more 80% in urban, and we bring different kind of poverty in urban areas. No wonder Ajay didn't feel safe in Klang. Okay, so that's why. So these are things. What could have? Is it the wrong policy, the wrong focus? We've been talking about these regional imbalances. Tapi kadang seems to be, probably gets reduced relatively as compared to previously. And So, and then we have revised the poverty line index. The 2208 poverty line index. But revising the poverty line index, that means when you put it higher, that means more people become poor. So, last time used to be how much? Less than 98 something, 982 or something. I remember correctly. Now you have make it to 2208. That means naturally, cost of living, because of prices of goods and services, and other amenities must have gone up. So the accessibility to this, they couldn't be unable to access, so they fall in the poverty. So when you talk about accessibility and all that, is it because our development has been so imbalanced that we have neglected these areas, so it's become so hard for them to access, so that put them in poverty. So kita bila cakap about poverty, so dia kena understand lah, kan? So I want to talk to audience, you talk about poverty, kan? So kita kena cuba link up the historical part of it, the attitude part of the society, the different fabric of the society with their thinking is different. We talk about orang asli, it's different, orang asli mindset is different. So, but we tend to put one orang asli, maybe they don't need 2,000 over ringgit to lead that kind of their life lah, because dia kan orang rayau, banyak punca-punca pendapatan dia. So what I'm saying is that poverty is something, is it? And then we also mentioned about getting people to be involved in plantation. So I remember when I was young, my younger days, the estate, it is the dream of every parent to get their children out of estate living, plantation, so they become more successful. Life in the plantation is for the poor, so they push them out to do well, and then they get other opportunities. So people progress. Now you want to push them back into the plantation. Most parents will not plan for the children to go back to where they started lah. So benda-benda ni kan nak tukar tu need a real different kind of approach. Unless you see plantation as a rewarding sector. Rewarding sector, it promises a lot of opportunities to earn income, potential, the kind of thing. We need to change the whole thing, to get there as a how to say, as a sector that people will attach it with as a remunerative sector lah. Then things will change. So no, currently nobody wants to be poor. Sometimes people remain poor to be at the receiving end. Understand? They sometimes they plan it in such a way, but all these need to be verified. Why the B40 group tend to be there? Because a lot of incentives, a lot of grants, a lot of assistance is given as compared to the mid-40. So cara kita, I think the government has done a lot to address poverty. But sometimes it's very important that the person himself or herself must have that kind of determination to bring the family out of poverty by providing better opportunities. This is where we see, especially the Chinese will prepare the way for the future of their offspring. so that they become better and they have all the opportunities to move forward. But sometimes this is in relation to religious belief. Sometimes it's because of their, how to say, because of the nature, the nature and the immigrant, the survival mode when they do things. So all these have a lot of effect on the whole society. This memang is a complicated issue when it comes to poverty. But then as we, even the developed countries like US, for example, no matter how rich is the country, there still be people who live in poverty. The homeless people. So just want to share my thoughts lah. So bila kita fikirkan sesuatu, when we want to formulate a policy, you must understand the whole issue of poverty, not just at one point of time. You mentioned 2019 you will revise the poverty line index, and then it's a very complicated kind of issue lah. So itu yang saya nak cakap lah. So jadi selagi tidak ada the change that we want to bring within ourselves, it will continue to be there. Sometimes some people you give little bit that assistance once is enough, and then because they didn't have the opportunity. Once they have the opportunity, they can come out of it. Others we continually waiting, continually waiting. When is the next spring coming? When is the next PPR? No? PPR. PPR. Banyaklah saya tanya. So dia akan tunggu kenapa rendah sangat, suruh tambah lagi, bagi lagi, tambah lagi. Kan masing-masing kena berusaha lah. Kalau berusaha memang berjaya lah. Kalau tak berusaha takkan berjaya lah. That one we need to build into the society. Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, we will proceed with the last presenter for today. For this, may I invite Encik Amirul Zumairi bin Ahmad from KPPK to present Chapter 6, Improving Regional Balance and Inclusion. Please welcome.
Testing. Terima kasih yang berbahagia Datuk KSU, Datuk Daudi Bintaya, Tuan TKSUP, Tuan Abdul Hadi, juga SUB PSM, Puan Hanim, Urus Setia, rakan-rakan pembentang yang berada di talian. So, Assalamualaikum dan selamat sejahtera. Nama saya Amirul Zumairi bin Ahmad. Ketika saya membaca chapter 6 ni, saya terjumpa dua benda tentang Jokowi. Pertama, dia nak pindahkan Indonesia, ibu negara Indonesia ke Kalimantan sebab dia nak rapatkan jurang antara rural dengan urban. Dan yang kedua, saya jumpa video beliau berucap dalam bahasa Indonesia di persidangan PBB. So, pentas paling tinggi di PBB, pentas paling tinggi saya depan Datuk KSU. Jadi saya nak berbahasa Melayu.
Bahasa Melayu?
Betul.
Siapa nak translate?
Saya translate.
Kalau Jokowi dia bangsa besar tu ada translator kan? Untuk bahasa Melayu lepas tu
saya boleh minta tolong Cik Rashid. Okey, tajuk yang saya pilih adalah Chapter 6, Improving Regional Balance and Inclusion. So, pengenalan persoalan tentang bandar pendalaman adalah salah satu topik yang sering dibincangkan dalam soal pembangunan. Kesamaan jurang pendapatan, kualiti asas kehidupan adalah tema utama dalam rural urban development. Jurang ni masih lagi wujud. So dalam RMK-12 ada aspek yang akan jadi fokus seperti optimum potensi wilayah, bangunkan kawasan luar bandar, perhatian juga akan diberikan kepada kawasan kurang membangun. So in slide-slide sebelum ni pun daripada slide win kita dah nampak terdapat 6 negeri yang diberi tumpuan, iaitu Perak, Perlis, Kedah, Terengganu, Kelantan, Sabah, Sarawak. So ini adalah pencapaian yang berjaya dicapai dalam RMK ke-11. Dia ada terdapat dua bahagian. Bahagian pertama adalah tentang kajian. The first one adalah tentang kajian tentang pembangunan ekonomi seperti Integrated Regional Development. Tentang kajian ini dah diselesaikan dalam tahun lepas. Yang kedua adalah kajian tentang City Competitiveness Master Plan Study. So ada 6 bandar, iaitu KL, JB, Kuching, Kota Kinabalu yang dah selesai. Sekarang ni dalam tahun 2021 ada lagi 2 cities yang akan diselesaikan, iaitu tentang Georgetown dengan Kuantan. So bandar-bandar ni adalah bandar tumpuan di mana mereka nak tengok key cloud area tentang sumbangan bandar ini. So tapi benda lain juga dalam kajian ni kita nampak bahawa jurang pendapatan semakin meningkat. Based on 2019 kita ada jurang 1058 dan increasing kepada 1067. Jadi yang kedua adalah tentang pembangunan fizikal. So kita ada ada 3 sebenarnya. Yang pertama adalah jalan, yang kedua adalah air dan elektrik, yang ketiga adalah tentang telekom towers. So mostly pencapaian melebihi apa yang diorang target. Kecuali still juga kita boleh banggakan ada 46,679 rumah yang dapat bekalan air bersih dan air yang dirawat. So ini ada isu yang cuba ditangani dalam RMK ke-12. Sekurang-kurangnya dapat 3. Yang pertama adalah ketidakseimbangan pembangunan kawasan, sebab certain kawasan tu dikatakan tidak mengadaptasi teknologi, diorang tak mempunyai pengetahuan untuk menghasilkan produk yang bernilai tinggi. So apabila tak ada 2 perkara ni, so dia kurang boleh menarik pelaburan-pelaburan yang tinggi ataupun berkualiti. Yang kedua adalah terdapat jurang antara bandar dan luar bandar. Dan first, diorang dalam kajian itu dikatakan bahawa ada weak collaboration and coordination among agencies, dan juga kawasan-kawasan tersebut masih lagi terdapat kekurangan bekalan elektrik, water, waste management, telekom infrastructure. Dan yang ketiga, isu yang terbesar adalah kekurangan ekonomi, peluang ekonomi di beberapa kawasan, kerana kawasan-kawasan tersebut low value added activities dengan dia punya teknologi still lagi low. So ini adalah framework yang saya gunakan untuk memahami chapter 6. The first one adalah bila kita berbincang tentang urbanization, kita nak bangunkan semua kawasan menjadi bandar. Tapi dalam literature review, kita nampak bahawa the more we develop the cities, the more the risk. So antara risk dia adalah social instability, sebabkan kita tak boleh menyediakan semua peluang pekerjaan kepada semua orang. Yang kedua, kita ada critical infrastructure, di mana OECD dia kata kalau bandar ni melebihi 90%, so sekurang-kurangnya kerajaan akan membelanjakan 71 bilion USD, and then akan ada isu seperti saliran dan juga spread of disease. Dan hipotesis adalah jika pembangunan ini tak dirancang dengan lebih rapi, so dia boleh lead to the urban violence and social unrest. Dan still research yang paling penting adalah tentang planning, tadbir urus yang baik, dan juga beberapa regulatory framework. And the conclusion adalah untuk menjayakan urbanization, kita kena ada close contact, ataupun orang kata setiap kali ada masalah kita berhubung dengan industri, government, community, city council and academic institution. So this is the data about the population of Malaysia. So dalam 2030 kita ada 36 juta, dengan urban population kita adalah 83%, sehingga 2050 so hampir 90% orang akan duduk di bandar. So dia dah kawasan kampung tu dia akan tinggal 10%. The second one is about bandar-bandar yang dikatakan less developed ni, dia menyumbang kepada bahagian kemajuan industri kayu-kayan, tembakau dan kenaf. Antaranya adalah seperti raw material of timber, kenaf, raw fiber kenaf, dan juga pembangunan ladang hutan yang
banyak terdapat di Kelantan. Sebanyak 50% of ladang hutan ada di Kelantan.
So KDK contribute to poverty.
So the third issue about the KDK, there are banyak isu, but saya pecahkan kepada dua. Yang pertama adalah tentang polisi seperti import issue. Bila kita nak ekspor atau import, kita still ada isu ekspor kayu. Kita juga ada shortage of raw material, licensing, dan juga beberapa lagi polisi-polisi yang bukan orang kata hanya antara dalaman saja. Kita juga ada polisi dengan luar. So yang kedua adalah lebih menyentuh tentang rural urban development, di mana tadi kita tahu bahawa kawasan yang kurang bangun dia ada low technology, low innovation, everything was low, productivity low. So this is one of the orang kata macam isu yang ada yang lebih kurang sama dengan masalah yang dihadapi di kawasan luar bandar kepada bandar. So berbincang juga tentang rural urban development, seperti kita tahu mostly 90% nanti semua orang akan pindah ke urban dan hanya 20% akan berada di kawasan luar bandar. Tapi soalan yang ditanyakan kepada saya, dia kata if we know that orang akan 90% orang pergi ke urban, so kenapa kita nak masih lagi spending on the rural? So jadi saya kongsikan soalan tu supaya saya pun tak tahu jawapan dia macam mana. Mungkin hari inilah hari saya jumpa jawapan itu. So dalam urban juga yang negeri yang dikatakan maju tadi, mostly diorang punya KDNK adalah based on manufacturing, construction, service dan commodity. So sebab itulah dia boleh menyumbang banyak kepada KDNK negara. Dan most of the rural penyumbang utama dia adalah agriculture dan commodity. So untuk menjawab soalan tadi tu, ada dua perkara yang dijawab dalam RMK-12. Yang pertama adalah transforming luar bandar menjadi bandar. So dia akan create the socio-economic opportunities. Yang kedua adalah dia still lagi, dia banyakkan perbelanjaan di kawasan bandar. Tapi with sustainable cities, green city, development, pembangunan di kawasan-kawasan yang orang kata key growth dan hotspot areas. So benda ni akan meningkatkan pelaburan dan juga usahawan. But the third one is something yang saya nampak iaitu improving agriculture ataupun commodity using the innovation system. Ini saya akan ceritakan di slide ini. Sebabnya seperti Dato' KSU sebut juga, waktu dulu semua orang di estate bercita-cita supaya anak-anak mereka duduk kat bandar. Tapi dalam this study, saya nampak yang dia first kali kerja dia pun dah besar, dia seorang pilot dan dia bekerja di Thailand. And suddenly dengan gaji dia sebagai pilot, dia tiba-tiba terdetik untuk turun ke gelanggang jadi kerja macam 3D, dangerous, dirty and difficult. So one of the thing yang dia buat adalah tentang jagung. Disebabkan dia belajar di Thailand. Yang ni yang saya pelik sikit kat sini. Something yang dia learn dekat Thailand adalah tentang management of the farm. Maksudnya tak semua orang, ramai orang pergi Thailand tapi dia seorang je yang jadi usahawan ni. Dia telah membuat jagung. So dia buat satu company dan dia ada collaboration dengan Petronas and Agrobank. So another thing tentang yang menarik tentang dia selalu pergi ke China dan dia selalu pergi ke India untuk dia tengok certain orang kata mechanization and technology. Tapi bila dia import ke negara Malaysia, dia ada satu mesin pemisah ataupun pemisah antara jagung dengan batang. Dekat negara India dan China, benda tu ada dalam satu kilang. Tapi bila dia transfer to the Malaysia, dia gunakan traktor saja. Maksudnya traktor bawa alat pemisah tu kat belakang, so dia can go any areas and then dia boleh pisahkan bijirin tu daripada batang jagung tu. So a lot of thing lah yang saya belajar dari sini. So maybe ada certain policy yang boleh orang kata macam kita pergi ke arah yang boleh membina environment untuk usahawan-usahawan macam ni. So like Dato' KSU sebut juga tentang Jerman tadi. Kat kawasan kampung pun actually ada peluang untuk peluang pekerjaan terwujud, but still a lot of business. That's all from me. Thank you.
Thank you, Encik Amirul Zumairi bin Ahmad. So We'd like to invite Dato' Sinu and CKSP to give impressions.
Terima kasih Amirul. I think we start with the good intro. You relatekan antara Jakarta dan Kalimantan. It is very relevant with the chapter lah. Improving regional balance and inclusion. Okay. In this chapter, the main issue is about disparities between rural and urban. And it is a long-standing issue. Lama lah kita cakap it's an issue, and a lot of things has been done. Let's say if you are appointed as a PM, Prime Minister, what are the 3 things immediately you will do?
Pertama sekali sebabkan saya badan kerajaan, maka saya akan pergi meeting lah.
As a PM, you play now. Okay, 3 perkara saya nak buat sekarang untuk atasi long-standing issues ni. Very impactful lah.
Masa sekarang nampaknya idea tu belum muncul lagi. Masih lagi. Sebabnya macam disebutkan tadi, dia long study dan ada banyak polisi-polisi yang orang ni setuju, orang ni tak setuju, dan ada polisi yang dilihat bercanggah. Paling senang kita boleh tengok tentang, saya ambil contoh paling mudah adalah tentang kedai runcit lah. Kedai runcit dengan supermarket besar, kita target nak kedai runcit tu lebih banyak, tapi at the same time we open the supermarket besar tu pun lebih banyak. So ada certain macam polisi like tengah fikir juga. Macam let's say kita nak Bumi Putera lah. As we know that Bumi Putera jumlah dia sedikit dan dia dah jauh ketinggalan berbanding dengan non bumi. So dalam sudut perniagaan, so daripada sudut long history pun memang kita tahu yang Bumi Putera ni kita dah hantar ke kampung, and then the most of non bumi tu dah duduk kat bandar. Jadi kita nak minta dia orang participate dalam satu benda yang orang tu dah control. So ada dia bukannya isu tentang kuasa, not only the power, tapi lebih kepada yang kita boleh buat adalah video on the maybe 10 years, tahun percubaan yang betul-betul kita buat without either kerajaan turun ke kerajaan tak turun, we still continue the effort like that lah. Pada pandangan pribadi saya.
Ya, Encik Amirul lah. Dia telah memberi analogi sehingga dia ubah persembahan dari bahasa Inggeris ke bahasa Melayu. Saya tanya ucapkan kerana berjaya memanipulasikan keadaan untuk kepentingan sendiri ya. Alright, so no, I'm not saying because we want this session, the English session, so that we practice. Sebab kita belajar bahasa Inggeris ni sejak kita kadang kan. So itulah. Cara the way to practice English is very easy. Every day you read 5 pages and pronounce the word. Itu saja. 5 pages ke 3 pages ke regional development aims to address macam Azhar pun kan. Kalau saya tutup mata saya ingat Mak Saleh yang cakap tadi. Saya tutup mata lah. So, maksud dia macam tu lah. Dia improve the pronunciation. Alright, anyway, on this urban, we talk about regional imbalances kan. We want to improve regional balance and inclusion. Tadi pun kita lihat wujudkan lebih banyak key growth cities from 4 to 6. So nampaklah dia menuju ke arah urban. So remember, if you remember the concept POIC, pernah dengar POIC? Palm Oil Industrial Cluster. Kalau orang sawit dia dengar lah. Kita ada POIC di mana? Ada dekat Lahad Datu, satu POIC, kita ada Sandakan satu. So the concept POIC actually is a concept untuk kita to bring development in the rural area. Antara dua kawasan-kawasan sempadan antara dua negeri itu biasanya kita lihat banyak yang terbiar lah. So idea kita bahawa POIC, that is the original concept POIC, to bring development at the border of states lah, where it's always reflected. So kita nak buat pembangunan di kawasan tersebut lah. Tapi di kawasan tersebut kan, kemudahan dia jauh, kemudahan pelabuhan dia jauh, jalan tak sesuai, jadi ini meningkatkan kos logistik lah. Jadi tujuan kita adalah untuk mewujudkan lebih banyak peluang pekerjaan lah, kawasan-kawasan luar bandar ini. So somehow the project shifted to where the ports are. And where are all these ports? These ports are all into the city where the development center, growth center of development is there. So the project, so the PIC, they changed the concept. Because why? They find that it's difficult to do. So kita selalu ambil jalan yang mudah lah untuk selesaikan sesuatu. So jalan mudah tu memanglah akhirnya kita lihat hasrat tu tidak tercapai lah. The intention of POIC did not materialize lah, and eventually the whole concept was changed. I remember this when I was in EPU, find the ways and means how to bring development to the rural area, especially those border areas. So kita nampak kan, kadang-kadang ini sebabkan kita sendiri we change. So memang even kalau kita lihat kan, misalnya kawasan perindustrian kan, industrial estates. So industrial estate also shrinking. So di Malaysia, what the MIDA will do is, MIDA will say, okay, choose the industrial estate that you want to be located lah, foreign investors kan. So where do you think they will locate their business? Kan? Definitely an industrial estate where facilities are there, workers are there, kan? Other facilities are there. So dia akan pilih tempat-tempat yang berdekatan dengan port lah, dan kawasan bandar kan, dan sebagainya. Sepatutnya kita kata, okay, untuk ini kita nak you di kawasan ini saja. So then they are forced to locate there. Then only the development can happen. So kadang-kadang kita sendiri yang jadikan benda-benda macam tu. This is so you need to see things as it happens, you know. Kan? So it's not about bila kita nak be critical kan. We need to see that kind of thing lah. How do you know? No, MIDA does this. So I used to ask, because MIDA dia kena buat maintenance untuk kawasan perindustrian, so dia minta peruntukan. Kan? So setiap tahun dia minta peruntukan untuk buat maintenance kawasan perindustrian estate ni. Kan? So, and then normally because why hasil yang dikutip tu, PBT akan gunakan bukan untuk menambah baik kawasan perindustrian tu, dia akan gunakan untuk tujuan the town punya, and then neglect this area, you know. So when I ask, so how is the policy and all that? So dia katalah kita biarkan kepada industri pelabur tu yang tentukan lah. So but unless you have industrial estate where it specializes a special cluster like automobile ke, kan, atau electronics ke, atau those we need to be together. Jadi so we also need to think about the clustering lah. Kalau textile, furniture, mana kita nak letak, ada macam tu. So what I'm saying is, so kadang-kadang kita yang telah menjadikan jurang perbezaan itu semakin meluas polisi kita. Jadi bila kita nak bentangkan sesuatu dasar, kan, So kita kena nampak walaupun macam ni the policy all still, but to be critical means you need to see things, you know, and then give a value add. You nak bagi value add lah, right? So itu sajalah dari saya. So untuk semua penonton kita yang secara maya tu kan, I hope you all get something lah from this presentation. So at least kita lihat kita ada sedikit pendedahan berkaitan dengan RMK-12 ni. Jadi ini yang akan membantu kita mengubah dasar-dasar yang lain. So misalnya tadi ada kawan-kawan kita sambil dia membentangkan chapter tu, dia pun cuba kaitkan dengan sektor agri komoditi. Sebenarnya dengan membaca ni kan, ni akan memberi satu overarching policy, framework lah untuk you berfikir, walaupun macam ni berlaku, and then you sedar apa yang berlaku dalam negara kita, and then kita bawa lah pembaruan tu. Kalau kita sendiri sebagai pegawai kerajaan tak sedar apa yang berlaku dalam negara kita, you cannot bring the changes. Faham? So baru you besok Amirul kan, you will bring changes to the kasang bandar. So apa yang kita boleh buat? So kadang-kadang besok all of you will be one day di PBKSN, KSU. Jadi kita kena kalau kita tidak ada pengetahuan, kita tidak tahu apa yang berlaku. So apa yang you nanti nak cadangkan, semua itu sudah berlaku atau tidak ada kaitan dengan masalah yang nak bincangkan atau perkembangan yang berlaku. So we will look not informed lah, not well informed lah, but make a decision. So we must make an informed decision of things that is around you. And when you talk macam ada substance lah, kan? Tak ada cakap kosong lah. Okay, ya itu saja dari saya. So thank you Amrul for your presentation.
Thank you very much, and thank you Mbak KSU on the overall comments of the presentation. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to thank the Honorable Yang Bahagia Ravi Mutaya, Yang Berusia Encik Abdul Hadi Omar, Yang Berusia Pandai Hanim Abdullah, and everyone for joining the session. For your information, there will be subsequent sessions of this in-depth review of RMK-12, and I hope you could be on the lookout for these upcoming sessions as we will inform you through emails. Until we meet again, thank you, salam hormat dan salam keluarga Malaysia.
Thank you for presentation. Kita bagi banyak peluang lah untuk kita hidangkan